Adam, tonight we are putting it all together.
Yes.
We are
Happy
going to
Tuesday.
talk about building grassroots movements. And I want everybody, as you're joining us, let us know, is this the first time you've been with us? Is this the fifth, sixth time you've been with us? Because here we are, we're out of summer. Kids are back in school. Maybe you're back in school.
Mhm.
And I want to put together everything we've done so far in our first few months, put that and talk about growing those movements, and then talk about what we're going to do in the last few months of the year, September, October, November, and into December, and how we can start the new year off fresh. So
Yeah.
building grassroots movements, what do you think?
Well, I think it all starts, going back to our how to sell freedom without starting a fight.
Yeah.
And really what it boils down to is having conversations with neighbors. I have
Yep.
seen time and time again where people realize they have more in common with their neighbor than not. And I was just in Lynchburg, Virginia, talking about this same idea about connecting with people and sharing ideas. And it's really easy for us when we're in kind of our own bubble to focus on the things that we agree upon. But whenever we get outside of that, what does it really look like? And I think for me, whenever I'm out door knocking or when I'm advocating for a cause, it's all about what are the principles that we can agree upon for this movement. So maybe that movement's school board. Maybe you're trying to get educational freedom passed in your state, in your area, or even just start the public narrative. Drive those ideas forward. It starts with having those conversations and utilizing that tool that we started with, how to sell freedom.
Right. We start with, we're all people, we're all humans, we all have needs, wants, things in our lives. We all are connected in one way or another. And I don't want to agree with someone 100% of the time. That'd be
Right.
really boring.
Yeah.
But we see that how to sell freedom without starting a fight collect through everything. When we tell our story, we're humanizing each other. When we listen to other people's stories, that helps us humanize them and help them feel heard. And that's part of running for school board. You want these potential constituents to feel heard and understand what they want in the district.
Yeah.
That's how we start to build this grassroots movement with these conversations one at a time.
And I think my favorite part of the how to sell freedom is whenever you start and you say, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Because you're not going to build a movement by yelling at people on Facebook. You're not going to build a grassroots movement by steamrolling your ideas over someone else. Connecting with the principles is the best way to gain followers to move your movement forward.
Right. And we might find out that we believe the same thing is the problem. We just have different solutions.
Mhm.
That's not a bad place to be at. Then we can talk about how we came to our solution and how we think that solution will truly help fix what's going on in our community. And as you start to have that person that you talk through it, maybe you agree with more than you thought, but because now you can tell your story, you're more confident speaking in public, that
Mhm.
you bring them in, and now you have to manage your volunteers. I
Yeah.
want to talk about that later in the autumn, about volunteer management right here on our Tuesday lives. I think maybe we'll do a Monday live on something around that too, about how to really manage volunteers, how to put them in somewhere where they really feel valuable. You talked about door knocking. We've door knocked together. This is
Yeah.
something that I think we've both done for the better part of a decade, it feels like, all across the country. And when someone feels valued, when someone truly believes in the cause that they're working on or believes in the person they're helping, they can make a huge difference at those doors. And we know from time and time again, door knocking makes a huge difference. It's labor intensive.
It
It's
is.
time intensive. But boy, it works.
Yeah. I mean, all over the place consistently, whether it's a race I've worked on with AFP or prior to AFP, every time I always ask a candidate, how many doors have you knocked? And usually they say, like a couple, maybe 100. I know they're not in it to win it, because at the end of the day, that's what moves the needle. Whenever you're having real conversations, whether you're a volunteer or an activist having conversations at a coffee shop, maybe you're in line at McDonald's, at Walmart, or you're a candidate out talking about your issues and why you believe that you present the better solutions. I think that's what drives the needle. And then going from that, one of the other trainings we did was talking about the 5-10-20 model and
Yeah.
snowflaking out, here are 5, here are 10. And, these 20 volunteers that live in this district that can go out and make a difference, that can go out and have these conversations, share their stories, share their whys with everyone that they meet. So that way we're driving that public narrative.
I love that 5-10-20 rule reference because sometimes if you look at it, I'm looking at 20 people who can do this. I'm looking at 10 people who can call during business hours, 5 people that are close to this person I'm looking to impact. And it kind of feels like you're putting cogs in a machine. But when you really think about that volunteer recruitment, when you're building a movement, you're asking people, what drives you? What is your passion? If you're running something, social media plays a role in that. We'll probably do something around social media in the next few months. Social media plays a role. So if you have a volunteer that says, I believe in your cause, I'm also a social media manager for 2 brands, then guess what? You've got someone that you can put into this role and they can excel. And you learn that with the communication that we talked about all throughout the summer.
Yeah. And one of the other things, identifying the right roles for the right people. One of the things that we've shown before is kind of that gear system where, identify, educate, and then mobilize. Identifying doesn't mean we're just identifying people to go knock doors, right? We're identifying the right people to do the right roles. So that way we can then educate individuals and then mobilize for the future. And I think so many times us as activists, whenever I put on my activist hat, I'm like, doors and phones. That's what wins it all, doors and phones. But
Yep.
that's not what everyone's MO is, right? Not everyone is great on the phones. Not everyone is great at the doors. We have some communities, they kill it on the phones. I mean, they do absolutely great work. We have some communities where they're knocking hundreds and hundreds of doors every weekend.
Yep.
That's not every activist. Maybe that activist does great on social media. Maybe they have an awesome story to share where they go and testify in committee. Putting people in the right place is the key to having a good movement to go forward.
And we also want to grow those people, right? So I
Right.
don't want to come in and say, oh, well, you've never door knocked before, so I'm never going to put you in front of a door. We want to grow people as well, because that's what we're here for. I'm a big Maslow guy, love the hierarchy of needs. I read his books, read the people who analyzed his books and are kind of taking the mantle of Maslow from here on out. And we want to learn, we want to grow. So someone who hasn't door knocked before, how do we manage putting them with someone who's a veteran at door knocking,
Yeah.
who's been door knocking, say they're apprehensive? These skills, these trainings you've seen over the summer and will continue to see will help teach you how to grow, help teach your volunteers how to grow, how to do better, how to make a difference.
And I've seen that in communities all over the country. I've seen them be very successful at identifying people to come just stand in committee hearings and support, bring those numbers. I've seen in Fulton County recently in Ohio, which is one of my favorite places to go. If anybody knows me, they know how much I'm loved in Fulton County and how much I love going and visiting the people in the small town of Delta, Ohio. But one of the great successes that I've seen there is we took a group of people that were just really passionate and we were able to elevate them and grow them into active citizen, activists, doing what they believe in, sharing their why. Now they all have stories. When they're at the doors, it's not just, hey, can I count on your vote for this person? Or can I count on you to support this issue? It's here's what we're supporting and here's why I'm so passionate about it. And that has really done, I've seen tremendous growth. And that's what we're doing all across the country.
Well, speaking of all over the country, I was looking at our training calendar at glatraining.org, and we have got our advocate certification going on all over the country this month. These are both 5 weeks in a row. You're meeting with one of our trainers, or on a Saturday, doing an intense 1-day, full-day boot camp to get all these skills together. If you go to glatraining.org, check out our upcoming trainings. There's 24 different programs we have from Michigan to Virginia to Louisiana to even into South Carolina and virtual.
Yeah.
We're back September 16th to talk about being the best at citizen contact. That's just under 1 week from today at 7:30 Eastern. We'll be here on our YouTube channel talking about being the best at citizen content.
I thought you were going to go full presidential candidate there when you started rattling off states, but it's exciting. I mean, it's really awesome to see where we're making this difference. I was talking to someone in my hometown today and was just sharing a little bit about what I do. And I was saying, yeah, we're recording a live training tonight. And she said, that's awesome. I love that. How do I get involved? She said, I feel like I'm an involved person, but I'm also a mom and I wear a lot of hats. But how do I become an activist? And I said, well, check out our schedule. We've got lots of stuff coming up. It's really, really exciting to see this movement continue to gain momentum and continue to go forward. And I'm more excited than ever to see what possibilities we're going to take on and what barriers we're going to remove. It's a really awesome time to be alive. And I know the media might be saying one thing and we hear stuff on social media, but at the end of the day, it's people. It's not yard signs. It's not billboards. It's not TV ads that are movements. It's people getting out, making a difference, impacting their community, their state, and their country for the better. And that's really what it's all about.
That's a grassroots movement. That starts with you. And Cesar Chavez, organizer back in the 70s, who really organized the unorganizable. When he asked how he organized all these sharecroppers out in the Southwest, out through California and other states, these folks, how do you put together this group? And he goes, well, it's simple. You talk to one person, and then another person, and then another person, and then another person. So you have that conversation. You take the skills from how to sell freedom without starting a fight. You take the skills in how to tell your story. You talk about public speaking. Now, all of a sudden, you're sitting at city council, giving your talk, and you've got 25 people behind you in identical T-shirts to support you. That is a grassroots movement. That is what GLA teaches people to do. And that, I love it. I've seen these results. I've seen from our trainings that we're big on takeaways, things. We want tangible things for you to take home. When we did How to Run for School Board, I was so excited because I was holding up pages from this program that you can take home and use. There's this picture of a woman testifying, and she's using our paperwork. She's in front of a committee and just sitting there holding this paper, looking at it as her notes, so she could know she's correct and have the confidence to speak directly, to speak clearly, and to speak powerfully to lobby for her cause. And it was just awesome to see that from our training grew this person who was able to change her community and change her state.
Yeah.
So let's see. We have volunteer management when you're building this movement. We want to engage in our community. We want to put the people together. How do you start to get these people, you have these conversations. I always like to have kind of a relaxed event, like a housewarming party, right? So you've talked to 10 people and you say, hey, we're kind of all getting together at my house, or someone who owns a restaurant, some sort of thing to get together, relax. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's something on a weekend. How do you bring those people together to be that core of starting the movement? What are some takeaways you think?
Well, going back to our having conversations, but also giving people a place where they feel like they can make a difference.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like I was having that conversation this morning, people think they wear so many hats and they don't even know where to start being an activist. They see that there's a problem. They see that there's a need in the community, in the country, in their state to stand up and fight for what they believe in, but they don't always feel like they have an outlet. And sometimes it takes you saying, here's a group of individuals. We're all meeting together. And whether it's a group of parents that are frustrated with their school board and the education that their children are getting, or maybe it's a group of individuals that are just tired of these inflation prices and prices constantly going up, and the price of a gallon of milk is higher today than it's ever been. Those are people that are really concerned, but they don't always know where to start. And so you being that person, opening your door to them, maybe you're opening your restaurant, maybe you're just saying, hey, we're coming to talk not only about our problems, because it's easy to talk about our problems. There's lots of groups that do that all over the country. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's people, I go to golf clubs, I go to Rotary clubs, I go to different diners all over my hometown. There's people talking about the problems, but offer solutions, offering those solutions. Here's what we're doing to help combat these things. Here's what we're doing to advocate for our beliefs and what we're pushing forward. That's what makes the difference. That gets people behind you. And ultimately, starting with why, going back to that golden circle with Simon Sinek, people follow you not because of what you do. They follow you because why you do it. Why should they care? And if you can show them that, they're going to get on board.
Right. They want to know why you do it. And I want to take a quick step back to one thing that when you mentioned, I was thinking about this. When you're by yourself, thinking about the struggles of the community, of the state, and of the nation, you can feel really powerless. It's real easy to feel like everything's out of control and there's nothing you can do. Then when you're in a group of people, if you're talking about these problems, all of a sudden you can start to feel powerful.
Yeah.
You can start to say, wow, other people have identified this problem as well, and we can talk about a solution. And then someone stands up and says, hi, I'm Adam Masters. Here's why this matters to me, and here's what we can do about it. You go from powerless to powerful.
Yeah.
You're making change in your country. You're making change in your state and in your community.
And I think that whenever they feel empowered, which is what the Grassroots Leadership Academy is all about, empowering individuals. When people feel empowered, going back to one of my favorite quotes, an organized minority can beat an unorganized majority. I think I say it at almost every training I go to because it's a great reminder that when you have a room of people that's organized, pushing a solid, unified message. When I was doing a training a couple weeks back, I asked them what that meant to them. They said having a unified message, because a unified message is something that people can get behind, they can push forward. If it's just a bunch of talking heads and you're unorganized, you're not going to move anywhere. That organized minority pushing forward, here's what we believe in, is going to push, I just imagine one of those icebreakers pushing through the ice. I'm in Oklahoma. We don't have ice. We don't have lakes with ice. We never have. But I always like to imagine those ships just pushing through the ice, and that being that organized minority, cutting through what seems like vastness of, problems, obstacles, everything. But that one little ship is able to break and make a pathway for more people to come through and more people. And suddenly, it's not just, a sheet of ice that's impassable. We've driven a line through that to begin making differences in our communities.
And when you make a difference in your community, you now have a community that can make a difference in your state, and we can make a difference in your state. You now have a state that can make a difference to the whole country.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that analogy. I love that icebreaker analogy, that we know that we are here for freedom and liberty. We want you to be able to be the best version of you possible. There's someone I listened to that said, I'm very pro-human. I took that to heart. I am very, very pro-human.
Yeah.
And when we're given the ability to rise and to create and to build and to be amazing, wonderful things happen when we have the freedom to do that. We have the power to do that. And that starts with building this movement, building your grassroots movement, talking to people, knowing your why, person after person after person. And it's amazing to see this built.
Absolutely. But in a couple weeks, tell them what we've got coming up. What do we have coming this autumn?
So let's see. Coming this autumn, I want to reiterate September 16th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have a live Being the Best at Citizen Contact. Now, one of the things I like to do on this channel is I leave our lives up. So if you're watching this later, we probably have something going across the screen showing the link to the live of Being the Best at Citizen Contact.
Yeah.
So that'll be, and you can expect every first and third Monday, one of our trainers will be doing some kind of live, some kind of training in sometimes our Being the Best at series, sometimes our Insight to Action series, our Grassroots Action series. Every Tuesday, second Tuesday of every month. So the second Tuesday of every month, it's the two of us getting together. And this is a lot more conversational, a lot more back and forth.
Yep.
And we talked all spring and summer about our how-to series. 5 different programs that can give you direct skills. And we're going to keep expanding on that. I'm going to look away from the camera for a second so I can look at my list of items. But some of the things that we were talking about were mobilizing your volunteers, turning passion into action. What are the tools and tactics of digital? What are the tools and tactics of digital advocacy? We're talking tonight about building grassroots movements. How do we talk about effective communication in public policy?
Yeah.
There's kind of a little tailor here to navigating political conversations. How do we nail that? How to sell freedom without selling a fight? Really drive down into how we navigate those conversations and talk about 1 or 2 of the pieces of how to sell freedom that will then really expand on those 2, kind of the 2 toughest points, and how we really drive in and communicate with people. I think that'll take us to the end of the year. And that whole time, we have trainings going on throughout the country. Because that's what I would love to see. I would love to see some of our viewers here go to GLA training, see something local, and say, I want to go there. We have a training on what the gig economy looks like in Virginia this month.
Yeah.
So if you're in Virginia watching this, go check it out. We'd love to see you. We have, I was thinking about one in Georgia we have towards the end of the month. It's a great program for people to go to. So I would love to see our viewers see somewhere, because we operate in all 50 states and we want people to be able to empower. I know you've got Oklahoma in the background. I've got a New Hampshire motto. I've got a Massachusetts map somewhere around here. We're everywhere.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our viewers probably feel like the lady I was having a conversation with this morning. You wear so many hats. You're an employee. You're a parent. You are someone doing something. You're a fan. I mean, on Saturdays, I'm wearing my cowboy hat because I'm going to an OU game, and the cowboy hat is well loved by many people on our team. But, we all wear many hats, but a lot of us don't always identify ourselves as activists. If there's something that you care about, you see something in your area, I highly encourage you, reach out. Or if you don't see something, reach out, drop us a link. There's a place to fill out a form to request a training. If you want to hear more about what we have to offer, feel free to go in there, fill that out, find out more, because this is where it starts. You have the opportunity and you have the ability to take action to make a difference in your community.
Yeah. And we are on Twitter or X at GLA Training. We're also on Instagram at GLA.training. We also have an email list. So one of the things that I like to do, I think it brings a lot of people, is I will do an email blast. I say it's not me. It's Celeste. She's amazing. She sends out an email blast to everybody that's asked for it, to say tonight as a reminder of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so that way you'll get that reminder when we're doing a live training, and you'll get set up that night. You know what we're coming in for, you know what to hear, and you can show up and listen live. You can show up a little late and keep watching. Anything that works for you, because we want you to be the best version possible, to be that advocate. And like you said, we all wear a ton of hats. And I think one of the big things for me when I kind of started stepping into a trainer role here is that I realized every single hat that I wear relates to being that advocate, to being that building that grassroots movement, to being that mobilizer. So whether it's the hat as a father or as a volunteer firefighter, those play into my story. They are part of what makes me want to change. So if you're a parent, if you're a student, whatever it may be, that hat that you wear is part of your story and part of your advocacy.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. This is going to be a great time of the year to really dive into each of these and building our grassroots movements. I know that I will see you in 1 month from today, the second Tuesday in September, or what this one is, second Tuesday in October.
Okay.
We're going to be back here talking about more of this and how to grow your grassroots movement.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.